Welcome to episode 85 of our Sperduti Fitness podcast. I'm your host, Brian. I'm here with my co-host, Beth. Before we jump into today's podcast, Coach Beth's going to take us through a few announcements.
Welcome back, everybody, to the podcast. You know, as fitness professionals, we have seen so many people and have heard people asking and wondering, where do you start your fitness journey? Well, that is where we come in with the Sperduti Fitness virtual training app, and it's available on both the Android and Apple platforms. After you download the free app and create your account, you can browse through all that we have to offer, from online virtual training, nutrition coaching, yoga, fitness classes. You can even set up a free virtual consultation with our trainers to help you put a plan in action. And this is also where you're going to find our most popular package, the 12-week transformation challenge. This is the first program that brings exercise and nutrition education to a 12-week program, with our winner taking home a cash prize of $500. And right now we have our last challenge of the year going on. Don't miss it when it comes back for the first of the year. So head over to the App Store or to our website, www.sperdutifitness.com, to learn more. Now let's get into today's podcast.
All right, awesome. Today we have a Sperduti Fitness sponsored athlete, MMA instructor, fighter, Josh Reichardt, who has a huge fight coming up on October 28th through K4 Fighting at Buffalo River Works. Josh, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me back. I'm excited.
Oh, anytime. We are pumped for this fight. We cannot wait. Like, I'm so excited to come and watch you fight, man. Can you, I had so much to go over.
What are you wearing?
I know, right? I got a whole outfit picked out. How, for the people out there, how long was your training camp leading up to this fight on the 28th?
So that's kind of like a trick question. So the standard training camp I like to do, oh, there's my puppy. I like to do 2 months. But for this one, I was actually scheduled to fight this opponent back in May. So I just rolled the training camp right over. So I've been training for this fight for like 4 months now.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh.
Took weeks off in between, had to rest, recover a little bit, got to eat a little bit of food. And then after that, just right back to work. But it's year round for me for the most part. The only thing that kind of changes is I pick up the cardio, clean up the diet a little bit. That's all I really do when I transition from out of fight camp to fight camp. So it's not that big of a change for me.
So for this camp specifically, and this fighter, this opponent that you have, what aspects of your training did you prioritize the most? Striking, grappling, your conditioning? Where did you feel you had to make improvements for this one?
So my last one was a Muay Thai fight, so I did purely striking. So for this one, I just ramped up the grappling. I still train grappling pretty often, so I'm not like game planning anything specific really. I think I'm better in all areas, but because it's an MMA fight, I did, I got to incorporate the grappling with it. And then the transition from Muay Thai to MMA, the rounds are actually a little bit longer in MMA. So I just decided to do a little bit more conditioning, get used to 3-minute rounds versus 2-minute rounds.
So usually for training camps, would you base your training on your opponent's strengths and weaknesses? I know I have a feeling that you're pretty well-rounded against this opponent from we're talking. Really. But I mean, for a typical opponent, though, would you just base it around their strengths and weaknesses?
No. Like you said, I'm pretty well-rounded. The way I kind of go into it is I'm good at what I'm good at, and I'm going to do what I want to do. And when you start game planning for certain people, like I know what he's probably going to do. So I'll train like, okay, he's probably going to wrestle. So maybe train a little bit more takedown defense, but I don't like to switch my style to adhere to theirs because I want to do what's best for me. And, what's best for me is going to work what's best in the fight. I'm not going to become a grappler if I train striking all the time or vice versa.
No, and I think that's a good strategy too. It's kind of like you take on your best strengths and put those forward, and good luck to whoever is standing in front of you. So When it comes to that type of training, do you have specific training partners and specific coaches who have been crucial for your preparation?
Yeah. My main training partner right now is probably Isaiah Cat. He is a Muay Thai fighter. He's actually about to go fight for a New York State Muay Thai title a week before me. My head coach, Keith Ferrant, he's a very well-rounded fighter, black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's a crew in Muay Thai. His wrestling's really good. And then just everybody at my gym, Buffalo United Martial Arts, like we have wrestlers, we got strikers, we got jiu-jitsu guys. So whatever I need, I can just, hit up the teammates. Hey guys, let's work this today. And then on top of that too, I got a buddy, Tony, who wrestles at NCCC. He's around the same size as me. He coaches there too. So I'll text him. I got Matt's in my basement. Hey, come over. Let's, get some work in, things like that. So I'll seek out specific people for areas I want to work on. Like if I have a whole week of training and I did 3 days striking, 2 days jujitsu, I'm going to go look to get that wrestling in. Or, maybe it's all striking this week or all grappling this week. I'll just go to seek out that other stuff. So I'll reach out to the teammates.
Sounds like you have a solid pool to really pick from to really help you work on certain areas.
Yeah. And then even, like outside of the gym too, like I like to build, like networking's huge. So, you see who trains in the area, who's good at what, and become their friend, reach out to them. Everyone likes to train and yeah, get to working.
That's awesome. I'm sure too, each fight's a little different. What dietary strategies or cutting strategies did you use for this camp and this fight?
So I'm going up in weight class. I'm fighting this guy at 145. I usually fight at 135, but I fought his teammate last card. I think it was in May at 135. There was a little bit of build up to it. So he's a bigger guy. I think he's fought at like 150, 155 before. So we agreed to meet at 45. So it's good for me because it's around right where I walk around at. So I just eat clean. I still eat carbs, still eat my protein. Some people do the crash diets where they'll only eat protein or they'll throttle the calories down like 1,500. I'll do a little bit of water cut. And then for basically what people don't know what water cut is, you consume a lot of water over the course of a week. And then as it gets closer to the fight, you decrease the water intake and your body will kind of flush out water. A gallon of water weighs 8 pounds. So, just sweat it out a little bit. You can sweat out the last few pounds. You're good to go.
Now, when you guys make weight, are you making weight the night before and then you can kind of carb back up, or is it?
Yeah. So there's certain promotions where you make weight and fight a few hours later. I don't do that. I like the 24 hours to rehydrate because traditionally when I get down to 135, I do cut a good amount of weight. So I like that 24 hours to kind of get that back up. I got the weight cut down to a science. I wrestled throughout middle school and high school. So I've always done it through there. So transitioning to MMA was just pretty seamless. A lot of people I'll see when they make their debuts or their first couple fights, they really don't know how to cut weight, and cutting weight's easy. Rehydrating and everything else, you do it the wrong way. That's actually the hard part because you can really mess up your stomach and not retain a lot of the carbs, the fluids that you're supposed to.
How much do you usually weigh, or if we could, I don't know if we can talk about it, but like, no, I mean, when you rehydrate, what do you usually go up to once you make weight?
I'll probably age around 150, 152 pounds, maybe. This one's at 145. If I cut to 135, I'm entering high 140s. So like 147, 148. Like I said, a gallon of water weighs 8 pounds. So I'll usually on fight week cut roughly 10 pounds, depending. I have done bigger cuts. Like the biggest I've done for a Muay Thai fight was 163 to 135 in 11 days, but that was miserable. I ain't doing that again.
No.
Yeah. Wow.
Short opportunity, so you got to do what you got to do.
Oof.
Yeah. Well, and it's definitely a mental game when it comes down to it. So many people think it's just a bunch of boneheads getting in a ring and slugging at each other, and people have no idea the mental preparation that comes behind it. So for you as a fighter, how do you mentally prepare for a fight, and do you have any pre-fight rituals?
That's something I kind of struggled with early on in my career. So like my first couple of fights, I got really anxious, real nervous. But now I don't have that problem. So I don't want to say like I have any pre-fight rituals. Like the only thing I really like to do is I'll take myself out to a diner. I like to, get a good breakfast, and I'm not going to cook it myself. So have someone kind of serve me. I do that. I kind of relax. I'll go for like a little walk throughout the woods or something, listen to music, just kind of keep the heart rate, everything down. But what also helps me is the work leading up to the fight. When I go into a fight and I know I had a good camp and I did everything, I didn't cut corners, it helps ease my mind. My first couple of fights, I didn't do all the extra credit stuff. I would just go to class. I wouldn't run. I wouldn't really necessarily diet too much. And then going into the fight, I would be anxious. Oh, did I do enough? Did I do enough? So I cut that out after I think my first fight, got that under my belt. I was like, oh man, I really got to run. Second fight, I was like, oh, I really should probably diet, get down to a lower weight class. And then after that, it's just, put the work in and, the results will come. Be confident in everything that you did to prepare, and it'll show in the fight.
That's awesome. I like it. Just prepare and wait for opportunity. You know what I mean? You're always going to be prepared. You know what I mean?
And that's with anything you do, homework, or you have a big exam for college, you study, you're going to do well on the test. If you don't study, you're going to be stressing right before the test. Oh man, did I do enough? Am I going to pass? So, same thing with like work and anything else. If you don't prep going into it, you're going to probably have bad results.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, without giving away, I don't want you to give away too much here, but can you share some insight on your strategy for the fight coming up?
My strategy is just
So
to beat him
you
up.
can say pass.
So I don't care where it goes. I'll kind of I'm anticipating him to shoot a takedown. He claims he's a grappler, and this whole time he's been talking, he's saying he's a better grappler than me. So I'm anticipating him to shoot for a takedown. If he does, I'm just going to stuff it, beat him up on the ground. I haven't decided if I'm going to TKO him with strikes or choke him out. We'll see how he reacts. I want to choke him out though because he insulted my grappling, so I want to show him that he can't hang with me. But if he's just going to show up, I have no problem teeing off on his face and shutting that mouth.
Love it. We put out that poll the other day on our Instagram story about how would you like to see Josh win this fight? How do you think he's going to win this fight? That was pretty cool.
Most people I think are predicting a knockout because I'm traditionally a striker, but for those that haven't watched my whole career, like I'm pretty well rounded. I started off as a wrestler. I got a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. I've competed in several no-gi tournaments, things like that. So wherever it goes, I'm comfortable. And then just kind of go in there, have fun, see what he does, and wherever the openings are, I'm going to exploit them.
I love it. So you talked a little bit about your training. So now it's kind of, what kind of techniques for like right now, maybe like the past 4 weeks or just this camp in general, what techniques or skills have you been working on most for this fight? Like it's still just that balance of them all, and you feel like
just a lot of repetitions. I mean, specifically not for this fight, but in general, I want to my next fight I want to have be a Class A Muay Thai fight with elbows. So I've been training elbows. I can't throw elbows in this MMA fight, but that's just like where I'm at with my striking. I feel pretty comfortable with everything else. Obviously, I still rep the fundamentals, things like that. Brushing up on the wrestling a little bit just because I've been doing a few Muay Thai fights. So I want to make sure that I'm crisp in that area because traditionally our gym is a jiu-jitsu gym and a Muay Thai gym. So I've just been seeking out a little bit more wrestling than what I usually would just because in the MMA fight, there's takedowns and everything. Got to avoid those. So if you don't train them, you're going to be rusty with them. And I'm not rusty anywhere.
Love it.
Love it. I know.
Love it. And with only 24 hours in a day, work, everything like that, how do you balance the need to improve your weaknesses with enhancing your existing strengths?
Well, like you said, there's only 24 hours in the day. So unfortunately, my social life gets a lot of neglect. My day results, I work 8 hours. I train probably 4 hours. I come home, go to sleep, repeat, do the same thing. So I just kind of like, as the training camp goes, I'll see where the improvements need to be. Like if I notice throughout the training camp, and I'm not saying this is the case, like, oh, maybe my cardio is lacking, so I'm going to run a little bit more. Maybe my muscle endurance is lacking. I'm going to do a little bit more lifting. Maybe my, grappling's a little rusty. I'll pick up on the grappling, or maybe, there's little things I see in my sparring footage. Maybe I'm dropping my hands. Maybe I'm not really turning my kicks over. So as the fight camp progresses, I'll notice those adjustments. I'll make them as camp progresses.
And do your teammates and your coaches, do they help with those decisions too? Like, do they notice some things and they say, hey, this is where I feel like we should focus here and put a little on?
Yeah, absolutely. So they do that a little bit closer to the fight. My coach will tell me probably, roughly around this time, hey, this is the strategy I'm thinking. So let's rep this out. But the whole camp isn't focused on the strategy. The camp is just focused on me improving, me implementing what I want to do. And then as it gets closer, he'll tell me this is what we're going to do. This is what I saw in the film. We'll improve it there. And then same thing with my teammates as we're sparring. If there's anything that they see like, hey, you're not doing this right, or, make this little adjustment, things like that. But so I get that constructive feedback. And then I also do a lot of cross training too. So like there might be things that I don't necessarily do that's in my toolbox that another person will mention to me, be like, hey, why don't you try doing this? So I did learn a lot of neat things at the Sanchez seminar over at Friday. I got to train with the best Muay Thai fighter in the world, and that was very beneficial.
That's really awesome. So we talked about training. You talked about how you push yourself getting ready for this fight. Mm-hmm. What other kind of recovery methods are you trying to incorporate into your training to prevent injuries and stay fresh? Mm-hmm. Does that not come until after?
I actually been starting to do that now. So as I'm getting a little bit older, like I'm not old, but I'm turning 27 this weekend. So I'm starting to feel the bumps and bruises with a little bit. So stretching, that's important. I used to never stretch. Now I got to stretch because after practice, I'll be like, oh man, like that's real tight. I actually forced myself to take a rest day. I used to never take a rest day. So that's something I do now. I'll take 1 or 2 rest days a week. And then, but even on my rest days, I'm still doing a little something like for example, Friday is usually my designated rest day. I usually still run on Fridays, but it's not an intense run. It's more like a jog, something like that. Or I might be like, you know what, I'll lift a little bit, but I'm not doing like the hard stuff. And then I like to take a lot of Epsom salt baths. I'll go to Buffalo Cryo. They have the frozen chamber, I call it. I hate the cold, but it's great for the muscles. So like whenever I feel like something's really nagging, I'll go get frozen, and then I feel great for like a week. You're not going to see me in an ice bath, though. That's
where you draw the line.
That's awesome. And now jumping into your opponent a little bit. Now, the guy you're fighting, do you watch much video on your opponents? Their styles, their tendencies, their fights, and how much time goes into that? Because we already talked about how busy you are with just training.
It depends, really. So at this level, there's either going to be some film or there's not going to be film at all. I'm pretty good at finding things, on my day job, I'm an investigator. So I always find, things on people if it's out there, but I don't focus a lot of times on it. Like I'll find a video and I'll watch it passively. And then I'll just throughout the week, I'll watch it a few times. And then throughout the course of 8 weeks, I'll probably have watched it 30 times. And I also coach too. So I know where the holes are and everything. So I don't allocate like specific time, but whenever I have like an extra 10, 15 minutes, be like, oh, let's go watch some film. Let's see what he does. Or, oh, hey, I knew he fought this weekend, so let's go check out his fight and see, how he did, something like that. So I watched some film on him the other day. Actually, there was a Facebook comment thread where he was talking smack. So I actually took some clips of his recent fights and was like, yeah, this is what you're doing. That's absolutely wrong and horrible. And yeah, so I was watching film on him the other day.
So now, I'm guessing that
getting me food ready. So that noise in the background.
Oh no,
he takes care of me.
Oh, I love it. So does your opponent have something that you can exploit? Something that that you already want to exploit in the fight?
His grappling's dog shit, even though he thinks it's good. His striking is horrible. His wrestling's awful. So, I mean, like I said, wherever it goes, it's not going to go well for him. I don't know if he believes the delusions that he says, or if he's trying to drum up the fight to sell some tickets. But I don't know. So
I love it.
Like I watch film, like it's all bad, and I'm not trying to be mean or anything. It's just that's the reality of it.
Josh,
the only thing that he has over me is size.
Got you. What's his record?
He's 2-1 in MMA. He had a smoker fight, so like technically 3-1, but he's fought bums. Like his 2 wins were versus the same guy who's never grappled a day in his life, and he missed weight both times. So he fought this guy who's never grappled, told him, hey, we're going to keep it standing, took him down both times. And he also had like 20 pounds on him. So, whatever. And then every time he fights somebody good, he loses. So he fought a good grappler at his size. He got submitted within the first round. He ended up making his K4 debut in a Muay Thai fight versus my teammate Isaiah. Got knocked out cold. I saw he had another fight in Indiana. It was a kickboxing fight. He got TKO'd in the second round. So the dude can't strike. And he thinks he's a good grappler because he submitted the same guy twice who's never grappled a day in his life. So, yeah, I don't know. He just believes his delusions.
What do you think the key to victory will be this upcoming match, and how do you see the finish?
The key to victory is like I train like a professional. So like he doesn't. He's very inexperienced in this game. He's had a few fights, but like he don't really train that serious. I never see him running. I did a podcast with him like a few weeks ago. He's sitting there smoking weed back to back. I see some of his training clips. He's doing horrendous things. I'm pretty sure they spar hard without shin guards, things like that. He actually just recently pulled out of he was supposed to fight this other guy. He pulled out like a month ago. So I don't know if he's even training, what he's doing, but the key to victory is my preparation. I'm just going to go in there. I train like a professional. I carry myself in that standard, and the key to victory is just, that's it. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to dominate.
You're basically going to.
I can't wait. How often or how common is it for fighters to pull out? Like, I mean, are you in fear of that at all for this fight?
Oh, 100%. So I was supposed to fight him back in May and it got scrapped. And I think that he has more pullouts than actual fights. So he was supposed to fight my teammate another time. He ended up getting ringworm. So like, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt there. Like, that was out of his control. It's more common at this level than what you'll see in like the UFC. But it's usually with guys that have had less than 2 fights that this happens. And it's usually, hey, they missed weight or they got hurt in a training camp, or, something's off. Maybe they didn't get the right paperwork done in time. I don't know what he's going to do. Maybe he's not going to pull out. I mean, he's been talking about selling tickets and beat me up, and he's talking a big game. So I feel like he's backed himself in the corner, so he should show up. I'm more fearful he's going to miss weight versus pulling out of the fight. And I'm a stickler with that. Like, if I'm cutting weight, you're cutting weight. I'm not giving you the slack. I'm going up in weight, so I'm in theory already giving him 10 pounds. So you better show up on weight. That's what I'm more fearful of. But I'd say there's a 50% chance maybe he'll pull out or miss weight. But I'm just speculating based off of his track record. I've never pulled out of a fight. I've had one fight I've had the 14 booked fights. I've fought 13 of them. The only fight I had that's been scrapped was because I got COVID on fight week, and that was on my control. So outside of that, like, I show up regardless of the circumstances on weight. Like I said, I cut from 163 one time to 135 on 11 days. So I don't like the excuses. I fought injured, this, that, and the third, taking short notice fights. So I don't know. I try not to think about it. I just prepare. And, when the promoter texts me something, we'll take it from there. But I'm pretty sure we'll have something else in the works if he decides that he doesn't want to do it.
And how does that work with making weight? Do they then ask you, like, do you still want to fight? Is that kind of, can you talk us through that? Like,
so there's every state's a little different with like the athletic commission. There's rules on it. I'm not 100% on the rule, but I think he can't miss weight by like more than like 5 pounds or something like that. It's either like 5 or 7 pounds. I don't know exactly, but like, if we're supposed to fight at 145 and he shows up 155, the athletic commission won't let the fight happen, regardless if I say, screw it, I'll fight him at 155, because there's too much of a weight discrepancy. But usually when a guy misses weight, they have like an hour or two to kind of make weight again. And then if they make weight, great. If not, then if they're close enough, it's up to the opponent. So most of the time the opponent will take it because they do a training camp, this and that. In the UFC, it's different because there's like finance, like there's money involved, things like that. So, but we really don't have to worry too much about that. So yeah, it's usually, if it's a big miss, the athletic commission won't allow it. If it's a small miss, it's up to the fighter. But you do get another chance to make weight if you do miss weight.
So your fight career, we've kind of been watching it. I feel like I've been watching it for quite a while now.
Yep.
And we talked, we chatted the last time you were on about your career, your long-term goals, but I'm curious if maybe things have changed or if you have a new view on it. So can you talk to us a little bit and discuss your long-term goals in MMA and how this fight can fit into your career trajectory?
Yeah, so I don't know really what I said last time, but my goals going in this one, I'm going to do this MMA fight. After this, I really would like to go back to focus on Muay Thai. Ideally, I'd like to fight at number one contender in Muay Thai, then get a fight for a title after that. That's my main area of focus. Maybe I'll dip my toes back into MMA after. And then the long-term goals is I would like to just keep training, keep improving, and eventually I'd like to own my own gym. So they say, do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And that's the goal. Once I'm done fighting and everything else, and I've accumulated enough accolades to where I feel comfortable coaching, I would like to go start my own gym and then have that be my full-time job. So, but until then, I'm gonna keep, taking whatever's offered to me. Like I said, I've been training elbow, so I want to get in that the cage to do some Muay Thai fights, get myself a Muay Thai title, and then maybe after I get a title, we'll see if going pros in the cards, things like that, and then go from there. But we're gonna take it one fight at a time. But yeah, after this, I do want to go back to Muay Thai for a couple of fights, see what I can do there, and then whatever's offered. I'm a gamer. I like to fight. So if something's coming up, if you call my phone, chances are I'm probably taking it because I'm training. So.
Yeah.
And Josh, what would your message, what message would you like to send to your fans and supporters as you prepare for this fight?
Thanks for believing in me. Thanks for the support. And you can achieve anything with hard work. I've been a firm believer that my whole life. I have come from nothing. I've had a pretty rough upbringing. And I've tried the lazy route with a lot of things. Like my teenage years, I've learned a lot of lessons from trying to cut corners or not doing things as they necessarily need to be. And as I got older, I realized, the hard work and everything, the harder you work, the more opportunities and things will come. So, thanks for believing in me and just keep working hard. You can achieve whatever you want. That's the message I'm sending.
I love it. And that's something about, I think, the fight game. A lot of people that are in the fight game, that's really the mentality. Many have come from harsher backgrounds. You're taught just how hard work is so important. I mean, myself, I know I never got into actual real fighting. I had a couple scraps.
Probably good. Check that
Really
face.
shouldn't have been in when I was younger, but it wasn't something that was popular for females back at that time. I didn't start my jiu-jitsu background until I was 40. I turned 40 and I was like, hey, why not? And, I've following fighting my entire life. Like I grew up with it, boxing, watching it with my dad growing up, and tried a little bit on my own, which is probably not the best idea, but I tried it anyways. And, to see, but the fight game has always been something that I've been so passionate about. I love seeing your career and watching you and how passionate you are in it. We are super excited to go and watch this fight tonight or on the 28th.
Yep.
So let us know. Can you let the people know how can they get tickets for this event?
Yeah. If you go to riverworks.com, there's going to be a drop down tab where it's going to have events. Scroll through it, look for K4 Fights. It's on October 28th. So I believe they go in order based off date. Go click on it from there. Pick your tickets. When you're done picking your tickets, hit view summary and then go to the promo code, type my last name in, Reichardt. And then you're going to get your tickets, show up to the fight on fight day. It's going to be great. So I know a lot of people have told me they've already bought tickets. They're coming. I plan on packing that place out. Every time I fight, it's a sold out event. I have a lot of supporters, a lot of fans. I appreciate them all. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun night. So, even if you're on the fence about it, you've never checked out an event. I know a lot of people are like, oh, fighting. I don't know. First off, it's kid friendly. Second off, it's great. Like Riverworks on top of the fights it's a fantastic venue. They got the Ferris wheel, they got the amusement park rides, they got the little arcade in there, they got the restaurant, they got the bar. So check it out. And then if you don't like it, you don't have to come back. But if you do end up liking it, come to the next one.
Absolutely.
So Josh, after you win by knockout in the midway through the first round, you're done. You're done. You're showered. What are you grabbing to eat?
Someone's probably buying me a beer. That's for sure. Because I'm at Riverworks, I'll probably end up getting a pizza. But my main go-to after, so I live in East Aurora. There's this ice cream place called Rosie's. It's handmade ice cream. It's fantastic. So I'm going there. I'll probably end up getting some pizza logs at some point because that's like my favorite, junk food. And pizza logs, Rosie's, and a beer. Yeah, that's probably I'm spending the night. If I end up going out after, I'll probably find my way to a Jim Steakout Stinger too.
I love it.
But yeah, that's only probably for a couple days, and after that, I do like to eat clean because I used to eat a lot of. I shouldn't say I used to eat a lot of junk food, but I found that the more I eat clean, like the better my body feels and stuff. And then after having like a sloppy day eating, I really don't like the aftermath of it. You get like the food hangover. So I'll probably eat bad for a couple days, and then I'll get back to eating mostly clean. I like to live by that 80-20 rule. 80% healthy, 20%, enjoying yourself.
Absolutely. Well, after you win, the first beer is on Sperduti Fitness. So we got you.
Perfect. Great.
Well, Josh, man, I want to thank you so much for joining us. I know you got to get to sleep, you got to eat, you got to rest, and you got to get back up and train again because you're in fight camp right now. Mm-hmm. But we wish you the best of luck on the 28th. We'll all be there to support you at Riverworks. And again, if people want to get tickets, they can visit riverworks.com. We'll also be posting a bunch of links in our Facebook stories as well. So click, support Josh, come check out the fight, come check out the big win.
Yeah, I got the links in my bios too on my Instagram and my Facebook. So, and if you can't find it, shoot me a message. I'll happily send you the information. So thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk a little bit about this. I appreciate your support, guys.
You got it.
Anytime, buddy. Anytime. Thank you again for joining us, and we'll catch everybody next podcast.
Bye.